Do you guys like bugs? Personally, I'm a fan, though I guess I understand if you're not. I'm especially a big fan of beetles. No, not those guys. These guys. They're the perfect balance between cool and not going to annoy me while I'm camping. I'm talking about you, mosquitoes. If we get a little scientific for a second, the term bug is specifically referencing the order Hemiptera, which includes stink bugs, bed bugs, cicadas, and more. But calling other insects bugs is by no means wrong. The word bug has kind of become a separate term now, and if we look at Pokémon, they get even crazier with it. Of course, spiders are counted as bugs. That's nothing controversial. I personally would refer to spiders, scorpions, and really most arachnids as a bug. Science be damned, being a bug is based on vibes. But is a worm a bug? Game freaks seem to think so. Snom and Shuckle are the wormiest bug types I could find, and while you could argue Snom is just some sort of larva, since it evolves into a moth, it is called the worm Pokemon. But we're not done just yet. Would you call a crustacean a bug? I think this is where I draw the line. For the purposes of a Pokemon, this is not an issue. By all means, make your crab a bug type. But in real life, if someone asked me to name as many bugs as I could, I don't think I would say lobster at any point on the list. This is sort of a part 2 to my previous video, as I'll be continuing to fill out Route 1 of the Kalah region, my Fakemon region based on Australia, and no surprise, today we're making some bugs. I think for the most part, bug-type Pokemon are really cool, especially in the later generations, and every region so far has had a bug-type very early on in the Pokédex, most of them starting out with a worm or grub-like first stage, then naturally evolving into a cocoon, then finally any kind of random bug. For my region, I decided to follow in the footsteps of Johto and Paldea, and instead of doing a 3-stage bug, I'm going to create some 2-stage evolution lines specifically made to be rivals. When I first got to thinking about the bug types for my region, there were 2 ideas that stood out above the rest. The first one being the fly. Australia has a lot of flies, especially in the summer. You know when a fly is buzzing around your head and you wave your hand in front of your face to shoo it away? Here we actually call that the Aussie salute. With how annoying flies are, my original idea for these guys was simply that, annoying flies. Pulling faces, poking their tongues out, stuff like that. But there wasn't really much substance to this idea, so I struggled landing on anything I liked. Only after creating their counterpart, which you'll see shortly, did I think of a good idea. I decided to specifically base them on fruit flies, and for the first stage, for some reason, I forgot flies start out as maggots. No wonder I was struggling so much. As soon as I remembered that, a design came together fairly easily. An angry little guy eating his way through an orange berry, and the face I liked the most had 2 big sharp teeth, and overall it kinda reminded me of a bratty cartoon baby, which I liked. So I added some berry juice that had dripped from its mouth to resemble a bib, and gave it some sort of antenna or something to resemble the singular curl of hair you usually see babies drawn with in cartoons. It also kind of ended up being the stereotypical worm in an apple. I got a bit silly with its name, but I think it's fun. Grubbiguts, the hangry Pokemon. After being born, they immediately start eating. If there's no food nearby, they loudly cry and yell until some is brought to them. Their favorite food is fruit and vegetables, so they are very common pests on farms. Now obviously, Grubbiguts is going to evolve into a fly, and the idea I settled on was a fruit fly that stole from farms. And I liked the idea of incorporating a garbage bag into its design, both as a cowl, like a bandit would wear, and its cliche bag of loot that you usually see a burglar with. You can see one of my sketches had a garbage can on its head like a helmet. This is a reference to the famous Australian bushranger Ned Kelly, who is very well known for his iconic armor and helmet. I did really like this idea, and if I don't end up making a different Pokemon to reference Ned Kelly, I might redesign this fly to have this old look. While I am happy with the final result, I do feel like maybe it's not as fun as some of the other sketches were. I have seen a few comments about people preferring different sketches to what I chose for the final design, so let me know what you guys think. Did I make the right call? Scumbug, the fruit thief Pokemon. They are very common pests across the Kalah region. Having an intense love for produce, they sneak onto farms to steal as many fruit and vegetables as they can. Even if they fail, Scumbug's saliva will cause food to go bad and become unsafe to eat. They often use garbage bags to hold their loot, but sometimes get too greedy and can't carry the heavy load. With the first bug types finished, now they need a rival. You guys probably saw this coming, but what kind of Australia region would this be without some spiders? I'm sure most of you have seen those memes like average spider size in Australia and it's a Minecraft clip or something like that, but it's really not that bad here. We do have quite a lot and a few big ones, but I'd still say it's exaggerated online. I did a little bit of research, but a lot of it conflicted. Some sources said Australia has the most spider species of any country, while others said it was Brazil. I would think it would be Brazil solely because of the Amazon rainforest, but if there are any spider experts watching, please settle this for me in the comments, I'm very curious. Either way, Australia is known for its spiders, and I knew I wanted to have one as the early root bug. This is another case where I created the final evolution first and worked backwards. This first stage is fairly simple. My first idea was to make it shaped like an apple or some kind of vague fruit, but I wasn't really feeling it. I liked the idea of a spider that also acted as a net trap, jumping out of trees to catch unsuspecting bug types. So the design came together pretty easily after I had this idea. A small body with long net-like legs. I'm also really happy with the name I came up with, Sneakarak, combining arachnid with sneak attack. I think for a spider Pokemon, this idea is not that crazy, but its evolution is where things get interesting. Sneakarak, the surprise Pokemon. They create an intricate system of tripwires with their webs, then patiently wait in a nearby tree. When a small bug Pokemon touches the webs, Sneakarak is instantly alerted and will drop down from the tree, ensnaring the unlucky prey in their net-like legs. They have also been known to slightly bury themselves in the dirt, and after being stepped on will quickly grab and raise their prey into the air with webbing. Sneakarak's evolution is actually one of the earliest designs I made for this project, solely counting new designs. Technically, some Pokemon, like Possum in my last video, date back to 2018. At first, I didn't know how I wanted to do a spider Pokemon, until it randomly hit me, Cowboy Spider. I really loved the thought of it using its webs as a lasso and to create itself some classic cowboy attire. In Australia, we don't technically have cowboys. The more accurate term would be a stockman, but they're very similar at heart. At first, my sketches were not quite Pokemon enough, more like something you'd see in Rango. I used Spidops as a reference for this design because I really liked how he held together his 8 limbs to be used as 4 limbs. This is something I always felt with spider Pokemon. 8 legs is just too much. It gets cluttered if you try to fit them all in. If you take a look at every other spider Pokemon, the only ones with 8 legs are Tarantula and Spidops. A silly detail that I'm actually really happy with is I made its fangs resemble an old-timey mustache. I think this Pokemon as a whole is pretty silly, but honestly, I love it. I decided with this project to have a bit more fun with my designs, and Taranch has turned out to be one of my favorites. I decided on bug and ground type for this one, for a few reasons. Ground is super effective against poison, which is perfect for dealing with Scumbug. I also loosely based this evolution line on the trapdoor spider, which create burrows underground. Taranch, the Wrangler Pokemon. Taranch make their homes on farms where they help deter Scumbug from stealing any crops, creating clever traps from their webs and using their lasso to ensnare any thieves. They have also been known to create well-hidden burrows underground, where they lie in wait for Scumbug to get too close. Any farm in the Kalah region is not complete without its resident Taranch. And with that, Route 1 is done. Now I'm going to be moving on to the rest of the Pokédex. Videos from now on will be in a random order, just whatever I felt like drawing at the time, like exploring specific biomes in the Kalah region, or making Pokemon for types I haven't done so far. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.